Hello, my lovelies, and thank you for tuning in to This is Wonder with Eyiara. Today's episode is about insecurity, and I'll be sharing the insecurities that I battled with and how I'm learning to be more comfortable in my own skin. So pull up a chair, grab your hot cocoa, your favorite beverage, a snack, and let's dive in. Trigger warning. We will be talking about dieting and exercise in this episode. So if this is a trigger for you, no worries. You can catch up on episode 1 if you haven't already, or I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. All right. I was a well-fed child. Yes. I know some people might say, oh no, that's a different word. That's a word to mean, oh, you were fat, or you were chubby, or you were on the big side. But I like to say that I was a well-fed child. So I was a well-fed child, and that extra weight stayed with me until I was about my early 20s, mid 20s. But when I was about 18, we were going to have prom. And I was like, okay, I need to find a prom dress. So I decided to go online and I started searching for prom dresses. And I found one and it was absolutely beautiful. It was pinky, orangey gown with sequins at the top. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. So I ordered it, it arrived, and I tried it on. When I tried it on, I could not pull up the zipper. I could not pull up the zipper. Yeah, I could not pull up the zipper. And I was like, yo, I am in March. This was March at the time. Prom was in June. Okay, mind you, we were going to start our final year exams in April. And those exams would last from April till about early June. So I was like, yo, I do not have time to be shopping around for prom dresses. I ain't got the time. And also, even if I did want to return this dress and get another dress, I ain't got the time to do that. I don't have the time to return the dress and get another one in time. I don't have the time to be shopping for prom dresses because I need to be studying. So it dawned on me, I'm going to have to go on a diet. Now, going on a diet, doing an exercise regime was not a new thing for me. It was not a new concept for me. It wasn't the first time I'd thought of it because all through my teenage years, I was always going on a diet. Like, whatever diet some celebrity was doing, I was trying to copy it. Because remember, I was like bigger. I was on the bigger side. So diets were not a new thing for me. But at this point in time, because of prom, there was a higher stake. The stakes were higher because I knew that if I didn't lose the weight, I wouldn't have a prom dress. I wouldn't be able to fit in the prom dress. If I didn't fit into the prom dress, there was no other prom dress. So if I didn't have a prom dress to wear, I wouldn't be able to go to prom. And so it's just the feelings of shame and embarrassment and all of that wrapped together. That was my motivator at that time. And so I went on this super duper strict diet. I cut my portions. I was eating this big bowl of spinach with every single meal. And then I started my workout program. And my workout program was indoors because I was so self-conscious of going outside and exercising that I didn't want to go outside to exercise. So I stayed indoors and I researched on YouTube quiet indoor workouts. And if you've watched Cassie Bloggy Lattes, I loved her workout. So those were the workouts that I was doing, coupled with just the super strict eating plan that I created for myself. Fast forward, I did the exercises, I did the eating, I lost the weight, I was able to go to prom. That happened. Fast forward, barely 2 years later, I was in Paris at the time. You know, Paris is known for its food, its culture, its beauty, its zest for life. Oh my gosh, the food. Let's not even talk about the food, but we will talk about the food because I was eating lots of it. Lots of food in Paris. The French pastries, the baguettes, the croissants, les viennoiseries, the cheeses. Oh my goodness, I was eating all of it. I was eating all of it, all of the good stuff. I was enjoying myself in Paris. But guess what? That meant all of the weight came back and more. And it felt like this cycle of shame that whenever I had gained weight, it was like, ugh, why did I let myself get to this point in my weight? Then I would go on a diet and then lose the weight. And then I'd start eating again, eating the things that in the disproportionate way. And then the weight would come back again, and now I would beat myself up again for letting myself get to this weight. So it was this constant cycle of shame and not feeling great. And that was because at that point in my life, I didn't have a healthy body image or a healthy self-image of myself. And to be completely honest, I didn't really like myself. On the outside, I may have looked cheery, oh, she's so sweet and all of that. But on the inside, that was far from it. It was far from it. Now, at the end of episode 1, I asked you to ponder on the question, what does it mean for me that God made me? What does it mean for me that God made me? What does that look like for me? How does that affect my life, the choices that I make, the way I choose to live my life? Now, your responses to that are important because they will help guide how you decide to go forward in this episode and in future episodes. Now, bringing it to you, what insecurities are you struggling with? Is it to do with your skin? Maybe your complexion, your shade? Maybe you have scars, or maybe you have a skin condition. Or is it your weight? Or is it your personality that you feel insecure about? Maybe your temperament, you just feel like, oh, I don't feel too good about that. For me, it wasn't just the weight. It was also my face, like my skin. In episode 1, I shared about going through an emotional time in my life. Sidebar, if you haven't watched episode 1 yet, it'll be up here. And in it, I share about identity, knowing who I am and who God created me to be. Anyway, continuing with these episodes. So I was talking about an emotional time that I had in my life. During that time, my skin erupted into some kind of thing. The only way I can describe it is you can say flare-ups, but to me, they look more like looking like a beehive. I refer to them as looking like a beehive because you know how beehives, they have this hexagonal shape and they're kind of browny, yellowy, almost like the color of this, browny, yellowy. And so that was the pattern of the flare-ups all over my face, like literally all over my face. And it hurt so much. It hurt to touch my face. It hurt to wash my face. It hurt so deeply. And because of that, it made me even more self-conscious. I was already self-conscious about my weight. Now, stuff on my face. So I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't want to go anywhere, only if it was absolutely necessary for me to do so. And when I did leave the house, the thought that kept running through my head was, oh my gosh, these people, they can see what's on my face. They can see these things. And do they want to sit next to me? Would they think that, oh, is it contagious? They don't want to sit next to me. They don't want to talk to me. They don't want to be around me. What are they thinking? Or are they looking at me weirdly? Or all of these thoughts were running through my head, and it just made me feel very, very small. It made me feel so small. Now, how did I get to a place of being comfortable with my skin, with my weight, with my body? It relates to understanding identity. Like I said before, in episode 1, I talked about identity, knowing who I am and who God created me to be. So in order for me to get to that place of acceptance, I had to love my body in its current condition. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean loving myself and giving excuses for bad behavior or enabling bad habits. It meant learning to be grateful for each part of my body, because it all brought me back to this belief that I have that God made me. So God made me. Oh, it's making me emotional. God made me, and if God made me, then He's made each different part of me. He put care into me. He put intentionality into me. So I'm not just like a byproduct. I'm intentionally crafted by God. So it was stirring up that area of gratitude for each part of my body, even though I may not have liked them at that point. It's the belief that I have that God made me, and that God made me in His image and in His likeness. And that means that every cell, every tissue, every organ in my body was strategically and specifically designed by God. Now, it doesn't mean that the eruptions on my skin were designed by God. No, it meant realizing that God made me, yes, and whatever God makes is good. Therefore, since God made me, I am good. I am a good creation. Therefore, since I am a good creation, why am I hating on what God has made that is good? Why am I hating on what God has made good? Why am I hating on myself? That was the realization that I had. But this realization didn't lead to an immediate transformation. It took time. It took time. It took time to go from head knowledge to heart revelation. Now, what do I mean by this? From head knowledge, I mean knowing all the verses, knowing the verses that in the Bible that state, before I formed you, I knew you. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and so many others. It took time for that knowing in my head to become a truly lived experience. In Genesis 1, it talks about God made humankind in His image and in His likeness. God made me. God put thought into creating me. He put care into creating me. So when I'm being bashful about my thighs or my nose or my skin or my arms or any other part of my body that I may not like, I am in essence being critical of God, what God has done. I'm being critical of God's work. And I didn't want to do that anymore. Now, I am not saying that you can't work out and sculpt your body or want better for your body or want to be healthier or live a healthier lifestyle and, look a certain way. I'm not saying you can't do that. What I am saying is ask yourself, Why do you want to do that? Is it because of jealousy, comparison, wanting to fit in with other people? Ask yourself and make sure that it's coming from a healthy place. Okay? Okay. As I said before, God was intentional in creating you. He was intentional in creating me. That means everything that I have is specific and useful for what He has made me for. I'm going to say that again. Everything that God created me with is specific and useful for what He has made me for. Now, going back to the head knowledge, heart revelation point, I started to say, okay, God made me. God made me on purpose. Now, how can I start taking care of myself in a way that shows gratitude to the creator of the universe for choosing to create me? Now, let's get practical. Let's get practical. So I started asking myself the question, what does it look like for me to take care of myself? What does taking care of myself look like? Right? Number one, taking care of myself looks like moving my body. Moving my body. It can be dancing, taking a dance class, or just dancing, putting some music on in my room and dancing to that. It can be going swimming. It can be taking a walk, but just moving my body because I know that that is good for me. The second thing, feeding my mind. And what do I mean by feeding my mind? I'm very particular about the things that I watch, that I listen to, that I read, because I know that those things that I allow to go through my eyes and my ears have a way of impacting the way that I live my life. So I choose to listen to things, to read things that inspire me, that encourage me, that uplift me, that motivate me, and at times give me that kick behind the backside. No. Yeah, but those things that call me out on unhealthy patterns that I may have and call me out to change them. So those are the things that I make sure that I'm reading, that I'm listening to, that I'm occupying my mind with, because that is feeding my mind. And whatever you feed your mind with is kind of how you live your life. Next, number 3, it's feeding my body. And what does that look like? Like I said before, I love food. I do love food. I love to eat. So for me, it's finding things that are nutritious, that I can eat, that I enjoy eating, and eating those, and making sure that my meals are colorful. Oh my gosh, I love making my meals so colorful because it's so fun and it just makes it less of a chore. Well, cooking may take time, but it makes it fun when you have your plate and everything on your plate is so colorful. That just brings a huge smile to my face and that makes me excited to want to eat the food. So making sure that my meals are colorful, that gives me that anticipation to want to eat it, which is much different from a diet. Number 4, being around people who are good for me. And what does that mean? So people who we encourage each other, we uplift each other, we support each other, we celebrate each other, and we want the best for each other. Those are the kinds of people that I am working towards to have more of in my circle. Number 5, the last but not the least, rest. Rest is so, so, so important. And I feel like it really is important for me because it's another facet of taking care of myself. Rest is paramount for me. So I've mentioned moving my body, feeding my mind, feeding my body, being around people who are good for me, and rest. So I asked myself the question, what does taking care of myself look like? And those were some of the ways that I tried to implement taking care of myself. Now you may be asking, how can I accept these parts of myself that I don't really like very much? Okay. How can you accept these parts of yourself that you don't really like very much? Number one, be honest about it. When you get to that place of just pure honesty that, yeah, there are some parts about yourself that you don't like. Being honest about it is the first step. And talk to God about it. Talk to Him. He made you. He made you. And He didn't make you as this bleh. I use that sound to say like something that you just do without taking care or thinking of. You just randomly put it out without thought or care or precision. That's not you. That's not how God made you. He made you with care and precision and intention. So be honest about how you feel and talk to God about it. You can also talk to a trusted friend. Emphasis on the trusted friend. Trusted friend part. Talk to a trusted friend. Or maybe if you feel like you need to talk to a professional about it, talk to a professional. Maybe a counselor, a therapist, or a coach, a life coach, a nutritionist, a fitness coach, someone like that. If you feel like that's the next step that you need to take after being honest about how you feel. And then the next step you could take is writing affirmations. I am an advocate for affirmations because they work. They help to renew your mind. Like the word says in Romans 12, renewing your mind. Last year, I had a word. My word for the year last year was to do with self-worth and being worthy. And so I went on Google and I searched up Bible verses on self-worth, and it gave me this whole list of Bible verses. And so I compiled all of them and put them all in a document and created them as my affirmations. And I inserted my name into the different parts where it talked about you, they, he, she, whatever pronoun was there. I replaced those pronouns with my name. And they became my affirmations that I would say in every day. So I invite you to do that too. Look up affirmations. Type in on Google Bible verses on insecurity, Bible verses on self-worth, and see what comes up. Now, as we come to the end of this episode, I want to share 3 affirmations with you. So you can repeat them after me as I say them. You ready? All right, let's say it together. God made me. I am wonderfully complex. I am precious. God made me. I am wonderfully complex. I am precious. And one more time. God made me. I am wonderfully complex. I am precious. Now, as you go into your week or into your day, I invite you to think on this question. What does it mean for me to take care of myself? What does taking care of myself look like? What does taking care of myself look like? Not what this person is doing or what that person is doing or what celebrities or social media are telling you to do. What does taking care of myself actually look like for me? Not what everybody else is saying that you should do. What does it look like for me? And I invite you to write it down. Write it down and start taking steps to get them done one by one. You may not be able to get all of them done all at the same time. Write them all down and then choose one that you're going to start working on. What does taking care of myself look like for me? And as you start doing them one by one, you gradually become more comfortable in your own skin. You gradually become more accepting of yourself. Okay? Thank you for joining me in this episode of This is Wonder. I hope it has encouraged you and inspired you. So please like, comment, subscribe, share, because it helps get the message across to more people. Remember, you are a wonder. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.